Hello everyone. In this presentation, we shall be looking at the economic effects of immigration on the economy of a country. Immigration has some severe effects on the economy of a country. In this presentation, we shall be concentrating on the immigration that happens into a developed country from developing or lesser developed countries, and that is also the kind of immigration that's the most controversial. Now, immigrants can have a huge impact on a nation's economy. However, the impact is not just one-sided. It can be positive as well as negative. It also does have an impact on the society of that nation. However, that is some other discussion which we shall not be taking up here. Also, I would suggest that you do watch the presentation on what makes some country developed and others developing for a better context. The links are given in this slide as well as in the description below. So, one thing one must understand, that addition of each human resource into the economy means that there is some increase in demand of some resources as well as some increase in supply of some other resources. Now, also one has to understand that most of the developed countries have usually a limited slack in their factors of production, especially in the professions that require at least a decent college education or labor with a high skill set level. So we'll first see the scenario in which how immigration can have a positive impact on the economy of a nation. In this case, if the immigrants are well educated and have a good skill set level, those kind of immigrants can have a positive impact on the economy. Let's take an example to exemplify this case further. So let's say that a nation allows immigration of a lot of good doctors. So that would mean that the supply of doctors in that economy would increase. An increase in supply of doctors in an economy would lead to a reduction in the healthcare costs of that country. I mean, sure, the existing pool of doctors would lose out a little bit, but overall it will be beneficial for the country as a whole. Now, due to the reduction in the healthcare costs would relieve a lot of resources of the economy, and that in turn would increase the aggregate demand in the economy. Also, apart from the aggregate demand increasing in the economy, the addition of doctors and improvement in healthcare services of the economy would increase the productivity of the economy as well. These two factors combined together would mean that is the increase in productivity as well as the signal provided by the increase in aggregate demand would mean that the supply of goods and services in the economy would increase, and that in turn means the growth of that economy of that nation would increase. So in here we can see that immigration of high-end labor has a positive impact on the economy of a country. Of course, you don't want to allow so many doctors to come in that the incentive to become a doctor itself goes away. So it's always better to have some control and diversify the immigrant pool. So now, when can immigration have a negative impact on the economy? So as immigration has a positive impact when the labor is high-end or well-educated and highly skilled, immigration of low-skilled workers have a negative impact mostly on a nation's economy, unless very much required in some cases. So With their low overall contribution to the productivity, unlike previously, the supply side would not increase greatly of that nation. Also, because of the low income levels, there would be a very small increase in demand of consumer goods and especially of high-end consumer goods. Instead, unlike previously, they would rather put a lot of pressure on the existing social services and the public goods of that country like health, education, etc. So that would mean the overall costs, unlike previously, of these goods and services would increase for all citizens of that economy. And because of these costs rising, it would lead to an overall decline in the aggregate demand. A decline in aggregate demand would signal to the economy, and hence the supply of other goods and services in the economy would decline, leading to a slowdown in growth as well as employment opportunities for the country. And so, if we can summarize, immigration can have both positive and negative impact on the economy of a nation. It's very similar to international trade. And unlike what many free trade activists may have you believe, both unfettered international trade and immigration can have devastating consequences for economies across the world. Controlled immigration of high-tech and high productive resources is mostly positive for the economy as it improves supply of public and high-end goods as well as productivity, thus increasing aggregate demand and in turn growth of the economy. And as we saw, on the other hand, immigration of low-tech and less productive resources is negative for the economy as it increases costs of public goods as well as a decline in productivity, and thus in this case reducing aggregate demand and growth of the economy. So thank you very much for watching this presentation. Do subscribe if you like such content and comment in case of any queries. Thanks a lot.